Hey everybody, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro. Hey, listen, like I said, I had a great time at the PGA show, but I'm going to talk to you all about something. I do not know who the gentleman was. Really didn't exchange nothing, but it was just in a midst of a conversation, and um, I don't know if he's a TPI guy. I don't know who really much about him, to tell the truth. But all I know, I was saying something, and I was talking about my top down, and his conversation was about how the swing works from the ground up. And remember, people, here at the Marriott Grand Vista, we are outside, so there's always going to be some noise. So he said something. And I said to him, I said, well, explain to me what you mean by ground up. And so he said, as he said this, he said, well, when you make your golf swing, and I think it was talking about the kinetic chain or whatever it is, that, you're using like your feet, then you go to your ankle, like say, make your backswing. You're using your feet, then you're using your ankles, then you're using your knees, then you're using, I guess, your hips, your arms, whatever. So he was doing these things. He's talking about these. And so, and I was ready to go. And then, and he's like, that's how you gotta, build up, wind up, and all that stuff. Well, here's where I came in. And I said, well, with top down, and just this, look, this wasn't a combative argument. This was just a communication and a conversation. And I said, well, with my top down, I said, I don't want to have to define, because as I was asking him, okay, when you wind up, which leg do you go up? The right leg? Do you go up the lead leg? Which one you go up? How do you go up? What turns it? What? All these different things I was asking was, does this start the golf swing? Whatever, all these different things. When you're doing all this turning, when does the club go up? All these different things. So as I started talking about my top down, this is what I said. And I said, the way that I do it, because I don't have to depend on from the ankles to the knees, and I can break down where the knees, there's a space between the proximal end of the tibial bone and the distal end of the thigh bone, which gives a spacing and a gap there. I could just go into so many different things there. But I said, if I was to take a doll or something that's standing up, or a top, then normally I would take that top to turn it, and if I said, hey, spin this top, or spin up like a little statue that's standing up, most people probably would grab it on the top and spin it. I'd probably say 99.9% of it would grab it on the top and spin it. And I said, one of the biggest things, especially, and I didn't go into what my unit turn was, that's $9.99. You can find out what I talk about, a unit turn inside of my membership. But I told him, I said, I have something what I call a unit turn. And I said, in that unit turn, what it is because the legs in themselves are kind of like posts that gives us balance. And so when I use my scapula and my arms, because the club's got to go up, when I use them to make my body turn, then the natural reaction is for when I'm turning the middle body. People know upper body, middle body, lower body, and my three-body setup and three-body approach. That when I use these arms, because the first thing is to get them up, then all of a sudden now, all of those things he talked about from the ground up, now automatically I can make those same movements, but I'm using both feet, I'm using both ankles, I'm using knees, simply because my arms or my shoulder girdle is allowing me to make that turn. Everything's following what my head is doing. If my head's going that way, then my body's basically, following in those directions in essence. So as I was saying that, which just became funny, it's like it happens to me quite a bit. Excuse me there for a second. Then all of a sudden, it was just, it really wasn't much more of a communication about what the ground up was doing. It was more or less paying attention to what I was talking about, because I gave one example, and I said, if a kid was standing with their arms like this and they wanted to spin, and you wanted to spin them, I said, you wouldn't grab them by their ankles and try to spin them, or turn them, if their hands are out like this, you would actually grab their hand and spinning them around, you know? And I said, no different if you were standing right here and your buddy reaches over and grab your arm, he's going to pull you around from the top down. And when he pulls you around, your body's going to move. And then all of a sudden, all that energy and pressure is going to go to your feet. And I just, so like I said, it wasn't a combative thing because it was one of those things where I basically, just said, hey, this is what top down is. And I have found through the years that when I make this turn, like I said, scap up, scap down, that it actually makes the swinging of the golf club much simpler, much easier. It's much easier to repeat for me because my complete focus from beginning to end is what actually swings the golf club, which is the hands and arms and the shoulder girdle. And that's non-negotiable, people. There's no other way to swing it. So when I think about, as I told people before, and I talk about this, and I said, when I make my unit turn, it's inside the legs. As I said, my legs are just like posts in a sense that's balancing the ability for me to turn. That's really a lot of good athletic moves in itself. It's inside the legs. I know people want to feel the pressure on the inside of the legs. Well, the reason that you feel the pressure on the inside of the legs, and that has everything to do with the way the pelvis and the hip joints are made. In essence, I could just turn my leg like this and never ever move the pelvis. But the pelvis in itself, with the entire body cavity, it's got to be able to move. And it's easier for me, no different than if we're going to pull a lawnmower. We don't turn the blade to start the lawnmower. We pull the rope at the top to get the lawnmower started, get the blade moving. And that's exactly what top down really is. So like I said, it was a really good conversation. I don't even know who the cat was. But that's the great thing about being at the PGA show is that you run into these conversations and you can have these conversations. I had another great conversation with a guy by the name of Charles Lightfoot. I think that's his name, but he's up from New York. I mean, he's a Giants fan, but I won't hold that against him. But I had another good conversation with him about, what it is. It wasn't combative. What it was educational. Because I'm educating him on the things that I see and understand in a sense, and he appreciated that without question. And there's this new conversation that I'm hearing this one guy saying, what is it? Collaboration over competition. Look, people, we're in the competition business. You can collaborate, but you can still have healthy competition. There's nothing wrong with having healthy competition. And the biggest difference is competition in itself is like, if I've got something, if I got my team and you got your team, then put your team up against my team and let's just see, what comes out and what's win. You can shake hands and be men and go one way or the other. But when you are taking and saying that something is wrong, this ain't right, you ain't this, and this, then that in itself is not trying to collaborate. That in itself is trying to prove what you say to be right. And see, and I tell people all the time, it's not so much that I'm trying to prove what's right. I'm trying to find out what is right. And from my studies, my research, and my learning, as I said before, I have done this from the ground up. I knew what the young man was talking about, ankles and all. I have done all of that for years. And as I said many times before, I got the back injuries and the inconsistency to prove it. And personally now, I hit the ball better than I've ever hit it in my life. And I wake up every day doing exactly the same thing. So, so when it comes to competition is a good thing. But when someone is going to say something, collaboration over competition, make sure that the individual that's saying it, make sure that you are living by the principles in which you are making these statements on. Because based on, what I've seen and what I've learned and what I have understood of this, is the individual is not living up to that. Maybe they starting to realize that, maybe the competition, or to me, they're not competition in a sense. And sometimes, hey, that's like the devil went down to Georgia, same old thing or whatever. I mean, the devil thought he was whatever, but he had to give that golden fiddle, to Charlie Daniels. That's how it goes. And, I'm just making a funny on that. But people, remember, healthy competition is what keeps this world moving. We've got to compete. We're competing against, God knows, any and every. I have no problem when I stand into a room and I could be with someone and they say something or ask questions about top down or something, or come at me with top down. If they do it in a respectful way, then all of a sudden, yeah, I'm going to defend top down. I call top down my land, and I own this piece of land. And by owning this piece of land, I defend my home. And now when people get out of line, then I have to defend it, as it's been said, by any means necessary. So when you come with a toxic attitude or a toxic behavior or something like that, then I am going to give you exactly what you asked for. That's what competition is. And I have very, very nice ways and funny ways or whatever of handling my business, as I do. But still, people, it is about competition. You can collaborate and still be competitive. And that's how it goes. People, if you like the things I'm talking about, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit that subscribe button. It should be right over in that corner, as well as give this video a like. Leave a comment if you like. Do you believe that competition, that competition is good? Especially when it's healthy competition. I think you all believe that's good. We got a whole society based on it. Hey, don't forget to join my channel. I'm gonna leave the link in the description button there. Once again, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro, here at the beautiful Grand Vista in Marriott in Orlando, Florida. Great 2025 PGA show. And like I said, people out there in the weather, bundle up if you're cold. Look out for people, look out for others, go check on a neighbor and make sure that everybody's got everything that they need, California and otherwise. We don't have to wait on somebody to take care of our neighbors. We don't have to have permission to look after one another. That's what we all call men and women, and that's what we call mankind and humanity. Look out for one another. Once again, Charles Calhoun, aka the Shade Tree Pro, always good golfing.